how this goes. This is a first attempt in a new space for me here in the fall of 2025. And as we pass the midpoint of the third week of the fall semester and head towards the fourth week, or 25% through the semester, I wanted to revisit some things I talked about in the first week or in the orientations for most of the classes. Orientations that some of you in, for instance, civil litigation and administrative law had either in other courses this semester or prior semesters. So as you'll recall, I touched initially on professionalism in those orientations, and I do that because I was taught when I was a student a long time ago that the best route to really learning the things you need to learn in your law and justice classes to the level and with the focus that you need to learn them is to be intentional about the fact that you are intending to go into those career fields. Start to think in a professional manner, that this is something you are trying to own for yourself and for whoever it is you're going to serve in those careers, not that this is just a hoop to jump through for the purposes of hoping to get a grade. As some of you have heard me say, this is my 30th year, and I have never had an employer ask me what a student earned as a grade in a class. What they ask me about is your ability to do all these things that I talked about in the orientation, all the things that I try to push you towards in each class, the things I'm going to revisit today. So start seeing yourself in whatever path or role that you think you want to pursue, whether that's policing, being a legal assistant or paralegal, being a lawyer, professionalism. Strive to move towards that. Start thinking of yourself in that particular vein. That also means that if that's the route you intend to go, regardless of whatever law and justice path you want to take, you should start abiding by the law. Stop hanging around people who aren't abiding by the law. Don't do things that you know to be unlawful. Wear your seatbelt. Don't litter. Don't speed. Don't drink and drive. All the things. Start obeying the laws that you're going to expect other people to obey. That's professionalism. Organization. If we aren't organized in these careers, if we aren't organized in how we approach our preparation to go into the workday, how we approach the workday, what our work area space, squad car, what our working environment looks like, if we don't keep that neat, orderly, best set up in a way that serves the things we're supposed to be doing every day, if we're not organized in the tasks that we need to complete by certain deadlines, because all of our careers expect us to do things by deadlines and you don't get any excuses. In fact, you can get penalties for yourself or for the people that you're intending to serve if you don't do things in a required time. So organization, communication, the ability to both verbally and in writing, in your own words, communicate what it is that you found to be the law, the facts, the issues, the authority for why something should be a battery or why somebody should have a right in a civil case or an administrative process. Being able to write about the law, about the facts of a given situation that you're involved in, and the issues that you see in that situation, and how the law might address that particular issue or issues, is part of what you're going to need to be able to do, and you need to get comfortable with that. And you can't do that by letting Google or AI or any of those things dictate what your words are going to be, because at some point, for many of you, you're going to end up sitting on a witness stand with your right hand raised and then be grilled about your knowledge, participation, and evaluation of those exact things in front of a jury in a courtroom full of people. So you need to own your communication skills, ramp them up, and own whatever it is that you communicate in writing or verbally as your thoughts, because that's how you will be expected to perform. And in the orientations, I also talk about effort. For lawyers, there's a rule that in our ethical code that expects us to be skillful and competent, and the rule is titled competence. So before we're able to represent somebody in a particular thing, we're supposed to be competent. And traditionally, competence was defined as having the knowledge and skill, the thoroughness, and being prepared enough to represent somebody in that particular thing. Knowledge and skill is what you're gaining in each class if you put in the work, okay? But you only get knowledge and skill if you are thorough, if you are prepared, if you do work to be prepared, if you do the reading, if you listen to for instance, the podcasts I provide in classes, and then do the reading, and then really put your time in to do your best on, if it's, say, you're researching, finding a case and presenting a case, or completing a project, and then coming back to read what other people have written, and participating in more than just, that's a great post, Susie. Some substantive thought about it, because you know what? In any of these careers, you're going to have a lot of people looking over your shoulder at what you did. Police reports you wrote, memorandums of law that you wrote, whatever it might be. You're going to have other people reviewing your work. A lot of times that's other people within your employer. It's your supervisor. It's other people who have access to the files. Sometimes it's, if it becomes public record, it's at the courthouse. It's anybody. It's a judge. It's your client. Other people are going to review your work. So put in the effort like you care about that, right? Own your position based on your effort to know the facts, your issues, and the law that you believe helps clarify a position on an issue, good, bad, or ugly. And remember, we don't just try to report what we find good or in favor of our position or the client's position or what have you. We also always want to know things that might be out there that may be bad for our client or our issue or our position in the process, or ugly. Definitely over the first 3 or 4 weeks of any semester, I put a lot of comments out to people about slowing down. Slowing down seems to be a theme. Planning your time, being disciplined and consistent in your use of time, as well as your commitment to earning your knowledge and skills in the law. I think that in education in general, before you get to this level, there is, it's at some points and to certain degrees, this push to just have you spit back whatever it is that's been pumped into your brain by whatever vehicle pumped it into your brain. And that's not what we're doing here. I want you to slow down. I want you to be disciplined and consistent in your use of your time and be committed to earning your knowledge and skills in the law. I want you to do that because that's the only way you're going to be successful in a law and justice career. Okay? You can't use Chat GPT or Google or Siri or whoever to do the work for you. It's just not possible. You can use those things as a resource. Around 2012, I had some criticism from people who do what I do nationally when in a large group of people on a listserv, a group of educators, where we post things and questions or share information or whatever. The question was posed of whether others were allowing their students to use Google as a secondary source in a legal research course. And I said that I was. I felt it had come to the point where it could lead you to primary law. Primary law, if you don't remember, and you should know if you're in one of my substantive law courses, constitutions, statutes, case law, or administrative codes. Government created law. Local ordinances would be in there too as well. Government created law. But Google could lead you to those primary sources. And then you always go and look at a resource like we use Lexis or Westlaw or something like that to go and then find that actual law plus the other resources that it leads you to and verify that it is in fact the law. But we don't just take those sources to be the truth. You develop those skills here, and to be clear, the path to success in anything, any career, but especially law and justice, is the discipline and consistent development and maintenance of your knowledge and skills. You need to stay disciplined and consistent in developing and maintaining those skills, and new developments in technology, changes in the law, and changes in the communities we serve will require you to be committed to learning lifelong, updating and maintaining your knowledge and skills for your entire career. It's the expectation. And so, going back to what I said initially about professionalism, adopting that mindset, accepting that expectation, just accept it. That's what's going to be expected of you. So why not just change over and make that your mindset now? Why not start developing your expectations of yourself, developing your discipline, consistency, your skills, and all those things now? Make the change. Finally, probably the most important thing that I would offer you of all those things that I have offered you since the first week of class is to breathe. Deep inhales, strong exhales, slow down, organize, work on your communication, but have your effort be intentional in the moment. I've always in some way been a part of coaching or teaching something physical. I've coached basketball here at ICC, high school, grade school. I taught physical education, college courses, weight training, physical conditioning, and some other courses. Did some certifications for all that. I've trained people. I've had some connection to physical movement for most of my life. At some point, I had a little injury before I was 50 and started doing yoga and then got into meditation and some other things that I've continued to practice. And I started doing a little reading, got into some things about breath work. And I always knew breath work because breath work was essentially, if you're going to fire a weapon, shoot a basketball, hit a baseball, any of the physical skills, you have to be able to breathe. You have to be able to use your breath. If you use your breath properly, you get the oxygen to your brain. I used to, I'll say it was one of my specialties. I had a very distinct way of teaching kids to shoot free throws. Free throws are free. They shouldn't be missed, not at a 40, 50% rate. And so I had a very distinct way of teaching it that focused on eyes to the rim, your physical movements, but then also your breath. As you start to descend, you see people shooting free throws. They don't jump, but they do bend their knees, take a short little squat, and rise up to the rim, releasing the ball. You inhale on your way down, you exhale on the way up. You're sending oxygen to your brain, your eyes, all the parts of your body that you want to concentrate and put that ball in the basket. It's the same thing for those of you going into law enforcement. You fire a weapon. You're holding your breath. You're not going to shoot it where you want to shoot it. So, there's a concept called wu-wei. Just breathe to stay in the moment. If you're focused on a particular issue, if you're getting frustrated because you're not finding the exact case or the exact law that you think you want to find, deep inhales, strong exhales. Give it a moment. Go and look at your organization. Look at your notes. You should be taking and keeping notes. If you're trying to find something in particular in the law, you should be outlining what you're trying to find. You should be keeping track of it because you can't keep track of it in your head. Either create a document on the computer or have a pen and a pad next to you and start writing notes. Organize. That goes back to organization. But slow down and breathe. Final word. I try to organize what I ask you to do in a way that allows you to go through boom, one thing, boom, the next thing, boom, the next thing, boom, the next thing. If you take those assignments in the order that I try to lay it out in, you should get to where you need to be with the results you need to have, the knowledge and skills or some effort towards the knowledge and skills and a good opportunity to build on those things. But you have to do it. You have to slow down and go through each one. So if I ask you to read something before listening to the podcast, read what I asked you to read before you listen to the podcast. If I ask you to listen to the podcast before you read something, listen to the podcast and then read. If you're going at this by logging in an hour before the first part of the assignments to be posted, well then that's your problem. If you're scheduling time within the week before the assignments due and you're scheduling time to listen, to read, to go and do your work, to post your work, to come back and read what other people are posting, comment on those things because that also helps you learn, good for you. Experience has shown that you're going to have a good grade and you're going to have success in your career. And I can point to graduates and anything you say you want to do in law and justice and tell you exactly who they are and what they do and how they were as a student, and how they were as a student was a direct indication of the success that they're seeing today. As we head towards the 25% point, the quarter point of the semester, 75% of the semester to go. I hope you listen to this, and I hope you use it as a reminder to do some of the things that I've suggested you should do. And if you're not doing, you better get going. And if you are doing these things, good for you. I'll bet you seeing maybe things easing up as far as your knowledge, your skills, your confidence, your ability to do the things in a more efficient manner, your knowledge of the law, the language, ability to communicate, all the things. If you're doing those things, thank you very much. If you need me, you know where to find me.